Another year, another season is over. Hello everybody, today we're going to talk about my final thoughts on the entire season of Kamen Rider Gotchard. Some of things are going to be me rambling about the end of the season, what I thought about it overall, as well as some things that just very important to mention, but other than that, let's start. First off, we're gonna be the characters. So we're gonna start off with our main boy, Hotaro. And honestly, I really do like the main character. He's just a really good boy, okay? He just wants to help people, wants to make a new world for Kemis and humans to interact with one another. I do like that he still has the naivety of like the little kid and also just wants to be the good boy. I don't think there's not really much to say about this guy. He's still just a basic like main character for the story, but I think it fits well with what the story tried to tell with trying to change the world in his own ideals. It's probably going to be helpful for a younger audience watching this show, and it fits well with the plot because of how similar he is to Minato's friend and student Suzuya, also wanted the same dream of wanting to change the rule of the alchemist world. It seems to fit well with the theme of the whole story of change. Plus, he said it also goes against Grion's plan of making things to gold because, judging by the way that the final few episodes talked about how Hotaro states that turning everything to gold that Grion wants is just representing that they want to be stuck in eternal forever, but just because of that, nothing changes in the world. And that nobody will actually grow from experiences and all that, and that they need each other to like continue moving forward and grow as people. So, just the basic things for a hero to say in a situation like this. But it does fit well because he has gone through many of the side characters throughout the entire show, and that's how he landed on that little ideology. And I would say that that's actually how he wants to actually make a world between human and Kemi interacting. And we actually do see in the last episode he actually make the planet. But it's pretty funny to think that he rarely uses alchemy at all. Like throughout the entire show he barely uses it. Only actually uses it whenever he starts to use the final form, and when he actually uses it for the first time like in a major way. And then after the final form debut he just stops using it altogether. But it's just pretty funny to know that he actually made a new rule to actually help with alchemy and then never uses it to fight that much, and then uses a new one again to create a new planet. And it's just funny today in the last episode he just uses Creon's like gold and the Dread Trooper just to say it like screw you to Creon's like philosophy and plan of turning everything to gold, keeping things eternal. So he just wants to make it into a new planet in order to show that yes, things can't change, to make people better and actually have a more impactful value in life. Also, one thing I do like about Hotaro is that he actually names himself. Like he just called Kamen Rider in the beginning of the show, but he's the one that calls himself Gotchard, or named after his gacha that they like saying all the time. And I do like that throughout the entire show he still just names himself every form. Like he names himself the Super Gotchard form, the Axis, the Fire form, the Higher Gotchard, and then Platinum, and then Rainbow. I just like that he actually is another character that actually naming himself with the rider form. It actually helps me a lot because I feel like it's more earned for him to include the rider form, especially later on when he actually make like Super with Beautiful X, and then makes Fire Gotchard with the little goggle, and also make Rainbow with Nichikan, as well as Platinum with the iron form being forbidden alchemy. Like it's actually pretty interesting and cool to see that he actually was the guy that make all the rider form and the name for them. So I just do like that little detail throughout the entire show. It's pretty fun. I know, sure, this type of character would be annoying for a lot of people, which is normal, but I just think that for this type of show, with Banner being the realist, this type of character, I think that it would be fit well, especially since Grion is more of a supervillain show, like just want to turn things to gold. I think he would actually fit pretty well with being a foil to Grion. So I think that he worked well for the story of what the writer was trying to tell with connection and then moving forward in life. So I think he fits well with the type of story that they're trying to make here. Nothing much to say about him because I actually do like Hotaro as the main character. He's one of my favorite characters in Reiwa right now. I think he's pretty much my third favorite main character out of Reiwa. I think probably Geet and also probably Revi as well. But I actually like both of those main characters as well. A lot more than Hotaro, but I think he works fine. Also pretty funny that he actually continued the trend of 01 and Saber that actually got the extra final form in the show, Ultima Gotchard, which I will say half of me thinks that it doesn't really need it because that was just used for trying to recover some finances for Incident of 2020 because 01 lost episodes and Saber just did it to like continue a trend because Revive and Geet didn't do it at all. On the other hand, it is kind of needed here because it actually helps with showing that yes, Hotaro actually now did make the driver. Instead of being handed to him, it is now made by him. So now he's fully earned the Gotchard driver and the Gotchard title in order to create the new world he wants to make. So that's pretty nice to see it in that way. So I think it does fit well narratively for his story. Also, narratively, the story was his cooking, because that was actually needed for him to become Rainbow. Because it's pretty funny to think that he was all over his Hotoro special in the beginning of the show, but then like halfway through the show, I think Jukumpire episode was the last time he actually made a Hotoro special, or it acknowledged, other than the Kaguya episode, but that's just not him making the food. So it's pretty funny to think that that was the last time we actually saw the Hotoro special until Nichikan episode, where he becomes Rainbow Gotchard and actually make the food for Nichikan. And actually fits well with that episode being my favorite episode of the entire show, about how he just was making food and being an older brother to Nichikan, tried to literally get him out of his shell, say that it's okay to be scared as long as people are around with him, and he'll be able to overcome any obstacle in order to continue moving forward with life. Which just helped Nichikan out, literally break out of his shell and be born, in order to help him become Rainbow Gotchard. And I think the cooking thing worked very well for that episode, as well as showing Hotoro that even though he falls in malice with Gigas, it doesn't really last that long, as he's still pretty much just pure. Like, he's just a good boy, even to the point that Gigas even calls him dumb. Like, he can't be corrupted because he's dumb. And I think that was just funny in like episode 39. I think that was just a funny little joke. But yeah, I feel like the whole cooking thing probably would have been a much more big thing, especially say it made me feel more like Agito. Like, this whole season felt like Agito in general, and I feel like the main character felt like that because it's too similar to what I think Agito acted like, Shoichi acted like in the Agito season. Especially with the whole cooking element and all that, I feel like that was a much more major thing, but I guess the writer didn't think that was important after the Nichikan episode, just dropped it. Because after the Nichikan episode, Kotaro doesn't really cook anything for his special. It's kind of saddening to think, but I digress. Other than that, we have his family, which is his mother. His mother's just a standard mother figure for the story. She mostly is just worrying about Hotaro and all that, and it's pretty nice to know that she's there for him, help him out of her slump when Scapeballs died, and give him the pancake that helped him get over his father, which I will be talking about the dad later because that's a major thing. Also, another thing is that the mother is fine. She's a fine mother character. She does her job well to take care of Hotaro, and it's pretty nice to see. Speaking of after dad, his father, because my god, the father was hidden behind a photo throughout the entire show. And I actually thought he was going to be something significant, like somebody important, maybe later in the episode or in a movie. But then nothing comes of it. And I think the writers did confirm that they actually did have a plan for Hotaro's dad, but then halfway through the show they just forgot about it or just didn't think it was important. So they dropped it as a mystery. Because it's very important, because Hotaro goes into the realm of the Ouroboros realm, but it's still not explained how he got in there. Maybe the film, the Daybreak film, might explain how he got inside there the first time, because it's inferred that he first loses his dad, which makes him draw his dad in that one episode. So remember the past having the goggles, which is important, the goggles that his dad had in his little drawing as a child, because later on in time he meets the Kemi, and then he asked them to make a goggle for him as young Hotaro, and they used those same goggles to make the igniter thing for the fire Gotchard for. So yeah, I think it is significant that they probably had something planned for Hotaro's dad, but then nothing came of it. Especially since it's also known early on in the show that Hotaro's dad was the one who made the restaurant, and that the mother would take care of it, saying that it was the father's dream to own a restaurant. So just wondering, like, so many important significant things, and then nothing came of it. Seriously, we need to have like a V cinema or something like that explaining something, or maybe not. Like, it's okay to just not explain anything. Maybe just leave it up to Mystery that he's dead or left or cheated. Like, it's up to that. And also, he just mostly there to just motivate the mother and Hotaro to continue their life. On to our secondary writer, Rine, who unfortunately I don't have much positive thing to say, because Rine's story is confusing in time, because it has one major problem with the season as a whole, which is kind of the pacing of the show. Because her main thing is just interacting with Atropos, and then finding out that Atropos is like her clone. And I was just wondering, like, throughout the entire rewatching the entire show, she did have a lot of interaction with Atropos. Most of the time, it just boiled down to learning about Rine, and then vice versa, and then continue on with their life. And mostly the end is just pretty rushed in episode 48, where she just decided to just defend Rine, and that's about it. I don't think not much to say. She didn't really feel like a secondary writer. She felt more like a tertiary writer or something like that, like the main female writer girl. But it's really weird to think that she doesn't feel like a secondary writer, even though she had more screen time compared to Spanner and the other rest of the Alchemist gang. Like I said, it's really weird, and I don't know what else to say. I think it just falls the same pit hole of writing a female character for a writer, especially since we actually do see later on in the show, like that one episode with the filler episode with the play and Seina. Like, it seems like they're trying to build up probably a romance or something. working with Hotaro, but probably not. Maybe just friendship. It's very confusing what they're trying to do with Rina. It seems like they have no idea what to do with her other than her main focus with the trouble. But it's a little disappointing to have that feeling, especially since we have the same writer that wrote Dino and Gridman, the SSS show, so you should tell how he writes romance in those two shows. How he writes it here, so yeah, it's really weird. Yeah, not really much significant thing happening with Rina. I feel like she has the most missed potential out of any other character. All the characters have theme songs, except Rina doesn't have a song for her final form, which sucks. And again, she doesn't feel like a secondary writer because the character I feel like is a secondary writer is actually Spanner, who is actually a tertiary writer. And better said he actually becomes Valbrod very early on in the show. Even early on in the show, he's the guy that starts telling Hotaro that Kami are tools for weapons, they only be used by humans and nothing else. And then actually clashing with Hotaro's idea that they should at least follow the rules. And while Rina actually is a stickler for rules in the first part, and then she says she's gonna follow her own rule with help of Tropo follow her, Banner actually just follows some rules, and in order to benefit the rest of humanity, especially since it builds up over time. With how the black flame that she got from the early child that makes it connected to Gigas is after seeing his parents die, which is, saddening to see, and seeing how that little plot detail allows him to see the world differently. Actually clashing with Hotaro's idea of being instead of Hotaro being idealist, Spanner more the realist of the rest of the game. Actually doesn't believe Hotaro be able to change the world because as long as chemis exist, they'll all be creating amalgam out of human malice and will always continue to terrorize humanity. But actually we do see a lot the last few episodes of the show. As he said, he tried to switch sides. At first it is out of left field, but rewatching the entire season to make a ranking for every episode, pretty surprising to know that it's been set up a lot. It just fits with my pacing problem with the show that I'll explain later after explaining all the characters. Banner already built this whole idea that he doesn't like the Kemi, that they should not exist, and then later on he actually does the plan in order to destroy the three kings. And then it doesn't work because, Hotaro doesn't want him to die. Because in future, to have humanity Kemi come together, that includes Spanner being a human. And how Spanner doesn't like Hotaro's little idiot-faded ideology. But yeah, he's still influenced by it. Especially since early on, around the Kaguya episode, he does explain to Kaguya about how he just can never get rid of Hotaro no matter what. As we see in episode 49 when he becomes the final form, Babura Kurogane, which is just Iron Man form. It's just pretty funny to think it's just an Iron Man form. Or even making the same sound effect of Repulsor Blast. But yeah, he actually just used his ideology. It doesn't really agree with it, but will accept it because they will still follow a different path, but will still work together to make a common goal. Which I do like that. He still had a different ideology and different path, but they still have the same end goal. So they still will work together as friends. Which is actually pretty nice to know that he actually doesn't follow Hotaro 100%, but will still back him up because he had already proven that he could change the world for the better. Especially with the relationship with Kyoka. Yeah, Kyoka is the best mother. More better than I get Hotaro mother. Why Hotaro mother more the kind-hearted one. Kyoka is more of the energetic and more of the outgoing one for Spanner. Because she's mostly taking care of Spanner throughout the entire time after his parents died. And I do think that Kyoka does her job well in creating the writer form for both Valvrod. And it's pretty nice to know that she just does her job well enough to help out with the plot point of Black and Sid becoming human, figuring out the three sisters were actually clones, made out of copies of the original human host. So it's actually nice to know that Kyoka is somebody that does her part well for the story and nothing really much else. I like her. I like Kyoka, but she does her part well, but not that much important to the show, especially since Lacus' human thing, make her become a human. Doesn't really matter much at the end because, Lacus dies. But I think she does well. I like Kyoka. I think she does a fine job. Other characters are gonna speed run is probably Sabie and Rengate. Sabie, I like Sabie a lot. He actually starts out as the shy guy, with the tablet with Isaac, and then we get more development with him becoming Thread, and actually, I make him like him a lot because they actually do a good job building up the friendship between Sabie and Hotaro for episode 4 or 5, and they continue expanding on it, even little snippets of it until episode 12 or 13 when it becomes some Thread, the first Thread user. So I do like that actually is built up. And after that we don't have much to do, only than the pretty fun guy we have in the background until the last few episodes where he actually had his brother Keiichi. But it's interesting to note that early on after Sabie breaks his tablet during the filler episode, he said he goes back to his parents' place. However, I think later retconned for the subtitle saying that he grew up in the facility with his brother. And speaking of Keiichi and Sabie relationships, yeah, they don't really like each other. Mostly Keiichi doesn't like him because he thought he created the 102 Kemi. But it actually is not actually that way, as Sabie said they both made it. And I do like that episode making him reconnect with his brother. I know Keiichi just mostly the type of character trope of the brother not liking the other brother for thinking he's better at him. But I think it's pretty good to see. And it actually does the plot well. I thought I actually liked that episode because Sabie overcomes the demon by actually defeating a Dread Trooper. So I do like that. I like that Sabie defeats the Dread Trooper in order to overcome his little trauma becoming Kamen Rider Dread. I like that a lot. I like Sabie. Renegade had nothing much to say. She's okay. She had like two focus episodes on with her grandma in her village, but that's just mostly filler content. I won't consider that actually filler content, as it just repeats the same thing with Tropo and Reine, and that's it. And most of the time, they had an annoying character named Hoshino, and with Kaji, the assistant, wanted to be detective, but then nothing come of it because they won't get caught by the villager and locked up. And I've been interacting with her grandma, and mostly the generic type of grandchild thinking that their grandchild is weak and young and needs to be protected and helicoptered until the grandchild needs to prove that she could be fine on her own. And nothing much to say. The only thing interesting in the episode, the fact that a nine-tailed fox, Kemi, becomes the nine-tailed statue, like part of religion. Kind of wanted that more expanded on, like maybe they could take care of inanimate object and make them become amalgam and make you become good amalgam, because they're actually a good amalgam, but nothing came of it. It's kind of one of the missed potential of the show. But yeah, Renegade's fine. Kaji is best boy, alongside Hotaro. So it's believable that Kaji and Hotaro are actually friends, and because they actually do help each other, especially that Hotaro dropped everything to help Kaji have with his relationship with Hijiri. They actually really like even with the episode with we worry about Kyoto during the Kyoto episode, he still just worry about Kaji wanting to help him out. I do like that. I do like that Kaji just keep getting memory erased over and over again. Even when he comes back to them, it's just a little funny running gag until it becomes important in the last few episodes. Especially since Kaji actor plays Butler, which is actually helpful for Kaguya. So at least you have Kaji actor doing a lot more work to keep getting paid for it. I just think Kaji is just funny overall because, he just had that weird moment where the Christmas episode, the way he read, that was pretty funny. And also coming back with Romeo and Juliet, wanted to play Juliet. Like, come on, man. I like Kaji. He's a pretty good friend. And that's pretty much it for Kaji. He's just the friend archetype that we have in this type of shows. For a writer, he does his part well, and especially helped with continuing the whole plot of wanting to change the rules of alchemists, so he's just a plot point for that. I do like that about Kaji, like, he actually used for that, but I digress. He's not bad. Now to my favorite minor character, which is actually Minato. Yeah, I think Minato is my second favorite character out of everybody underneath Hotaro. I like Minato start out as a teacher that doesn't really believe in Hotaro and then actually gets better at it, actually believes in the big shot alchemist stream. Later on in the episode, I feel like he actually accepts Hotaro because he reminisces of Suzuya being like that, wanting to become a big shot alchemist as well. And then later become a key plot point for him being evil. And even though he's technically evil, he technically doesn't do too much damage, and he just wants his students to erase the memory and never join the Alchemist Association again. After that, he actually gets the Suzuya backstory or explain why he's so attached to Hotaro later on. He got Hotaro reminded too much of his friend and just saying his friend died. He wanted to protect his student, but mostly Hotaro because again, he already had the crushed dreams and hopes of one of his friends who wanted to change the world. Now that Hotaro doing it again, is gonna fight Grion to change his future. It's happening all over again, doesn't want that to happen. But even after that, he actually gets better of it, helps students, and now he wants to help everybody else. Like Hotaro, and actually believes in him, puts all his faith on him, and actually pays off because I really do like in the last episode that he fully believes on it head on. It tells him to change the world. But when he tracks Grion to the other planet, maybe a crash land. I do like Minato. Like, Minato's my favorite, side character. Minato been my favorite character in the entire show. It wasn't for Hotaro. Like, he's really cool. I like him a lot. Other than that, we have other minor characters like Kaguya. Kaguya's okay. He just came from the generic thing of, not wanting friendship, wanting family, and then gets with Hotaro, who's all about friendship family. Like, okay, I would believe on it, and that's about it. Interestingly, that this is supposed to reminisce of the 5th anniversary, because surprisingly, this is our 5th Reiwa season, so it should be our 5th anniversary. So I get this count as our 5th anniversary being another Decade clone. The guy looks like Decade. Legend looks like Decade. Having Butler the yes man for him, it's okay. But Kaguya is just your standard type of character archetype for this type of show, so I like Kaguya, not a lot, I like Kaguya well enough. And he had more development in the film that we see some scenes from the Daybreak film. But other than that, I won't say anything just to get a spoiler, but he does meet a certain writer that he was influenced by. But I don't have translated for that, so I don't know what happened. So yeah, Kaguya is okay. I could have used all more development, but for what type of character he is, I think his story worked out pretty well. Now you have Daybreak, who honestly Daybreak Gotchard with future Hotaro. Can't say much because again, at the time of recording this video, the movie is not out yet, and so we can't know what his deal is. And I actually have to wait until to see how the film actually wraps up because he actually explained more about why Daybreak Gotchard liked it and all that. Also coming back in time with Time Lord, which doesn't explain too much how he's able to go back in time with Time Lord. Also like the implication that Daybreak future will change because Hotaro's future is now changed as well, as he doesn't have the same fire form, which is the cape. He had the fire Gotchard. So yeah, hopefully the film gets translated to learn more about Daybreak Gotchard. But so far, it's pretty nice to see the future version of that. Out of that, we can talk a little bit of the villain. Even though the three sisters are all named after like Greek faith from the one that would tie the strings and all that, and cut the string when somebody's life is over. It's pretty funny to think that they're all named after those Greek faith, Atropo, Cloto, and Lachesis. And I don't know, they never did much with it, other than a little interview note saying that they're based on the Egyptians, like dress, and like Greek Egyptians have very similar mythology. And especially the Egyptians pretty much started one of the first alchemist tech, but other than that, nothing much came with this naming scheme. Nothing much for the characters as well. Atropo is just the basic writer villain that just wanted to interact with one of the writers. At this point, Rine, because there's original. And just does her storyline there to not much with the pacing, like it feels off because it just spread out in too many episodes and most of it is just repeating the same thing. And then she all of a sudden starts to believe in Rine, not hurting anybody else and trust her, and then she dies in order to become a ring. She becomes a toy just to help with Rine to carry the final four Twilight Midget. Could've used more on Tropo, but I feel like Cloto is pretty much the less likely to actually be well liked for me. Cloto is just somebody who starts out just wanting to fight and all that, you know, the standard brute of the group. And then she actually wants to have her little goal. And I do like that it builds up with Hotaro actually during the maze fight with 100 in that episode, that Cloto decided to want to make her dream of wanting to have family and wanted to have the three sisters together. And then telling her in the last episode when she died that she hates Hotaro just because she gave her a human desire wanting to have a wish and hope, which is to have a family, to stay together. So I think that Cloto get the Abyssal armor gear for a few episodes. Like she only uses it a couple times to fight, and then she wins but never loses against anybody. And then she gets more power up from it during the Rainbow Gotchard, like after Rainbow Gotchard debut, you get the power up. But then nothing came of it because Galea later takes it away from her to become normal. So yeah, I feel like Cloto has a lot of wasted potential as well. Missed potential for Cloto to become a chimera, kind of like Uva from O's. Another character, the three sister Lachesis. Lachesis gets the most development out of everybody else, but still follows the generic thing of falling in love with one of the main characters, this time being our trustworthy writer, Spanner. She's the one that gets the most idea of how they're all based on human, and she also gets the most plot point, being the first one to talk about Grion's plan of talking about the revival of the Dark King, you know, the Abyssal gear with Gigas and all that. I will say that Lachesis had the most development out of all that, and I actually do like that. Lachesis just wants to be human and actually starts out evil, then gets better as time goes on, and then she wants to help the gang, and then she gets killed by Grion. And I do like that she still wants to hope and dream for Spanner to her to get together with. Honestly, it's kind of weird how that started out as halfway through the show, and then just start to become the seeds of that like near the end of the show. So I guess the romance could have used better emphasis and like maybe more early on, but I digress. She does her part well, being a tool for the story to explain more about the three sisters, or explain more about Grion and his plan. But that's fine. Speaking of Grion, he's our main villain. Honestly, Grion is just very, very cartoony. Like, he's so planned just to make El Dorado, make the whole world turn to gold. With the point of alchemy with the Philosopher's Stone, turning anything to gold. It's pretty funny to think that even Hotaro in that episode saying is that his whole goal, just to turn everything to gold. Saying that that's just dumb. It's pretty weird, like his naming scheme in Japanese, named after Pygmalion, which is actually the myth, the fact that he made a statue, fell in love with the statue, you know, the famous story of Pygmalion and statue Galatea. It's pretty funny to know that he actually named after that, but nothing really comes from it. I guess Galatea could come from the fact that he is a doll and that he made the three dolls and pretty much get attached to Atropos the most, only to just get rid of her. Like, it would have been more interesting if he actually cared about Atropos for her and make it a little bit sad that she died, making him seem like he's more human. But like saying, Grion has a lot of wasted potential of it. I do like he's a foil to Hotaro and wanted to turn everything to gold in order to have something of value, because he had no value of the doll, thinking that he would turn anything to gold, like gold has value to human standard, to make him more human. He wants something more valuable and keep something eternal. Something eternity has value forever. And the Hotaro say that's not true, that everybody has value and that the things end that will give them value to anything in our world. And I do like that. He had some conversation with Hotaro throughout some parts of the show. But I was surprised it actually more than just once near the end, like episode 49. It actually happened like twice before that. But I do like that they actually expanded it on when you rewatch the show. But I digress. Each other about chemistry, and at the end of the day, he dies and actually finds out that Hotaro created a true chemistry because, as Hotaro states, that his chemistry was never going to make anybody happy, so it was incomplete. He finished the formula in order to make, the ultimate chemistry, which is a new planet for life to live on. But, Creon's a pretty good villain. He fits the story well, and he fits the foil of Hotaro, so yeah. Out of that, we have the three kings, Gigas, Gramilia, and Galia, who, judging by rumor, were all humans that were turned to monster by the Dark King, which is the giant monster thing we see in the movie Gotchard Daybreak, movie, which unfortunately we don't know too much because that movie's still not out yet. But it said like the Dark King was the one that grabbed Creon and ate him, but then they revealed to be Jermaine, who was the one that ate him and grabbed him. Giga is the most well-developed one, who only wants to understand humanity, saying he understands humans, but doesn't really do anything with that after being taken a step back for Jermaine and Galia to take their place as villains. Giga was the most developed of them all, wanting to understand humanity, like he understands the pain, the suffering of being human, without actually forgetting what it's like to be human, because, again, the three kings were human, one. And that the fact they're all based on the fairy tale. I basically need to note that it changed the name. Originally it was called the Alchemist of the Dawn or something like that. Yeah, it was called Alchemist of the Dawn, but then it later retcon say it was called the Alchemist of Daybreak. So maybe they probably the translation thing, or maybe they just changed the naming. Similarity with the Dark King fighting again and Gotchard Daybreak and having Hotaro with the little hopper on his side. But yeah, Giga's the most developed. He wants to have an influence with Spanner, want to have him to see the next step to have the Black Flame. Other Spanner turned into Silver Flames, showing that it can extend more into a different line. And he's just proud that somebody succeeded him. But I actually do like he feels more like an evil teacher for Spanner. And just happy that his Black Flame will continue the legacy on. What I'm about to say, he had more development than Jermaine. Jermaine's the first one to die. He gets absorbed by Creon. All he is that he likes humans, and that while Giga was the one who created the Chemi, especially Dragonalis and Gaiard, and then the humanity probably did to make the other number, the 8 number 10, and then the rest of the Chemi. Jermaine was probably the one to create alchemy, which is pretty weird because 120 years ago. So I'm wondering if the movie will explain, or maybe a future VC will explain that they're actually they're older humans that later were the one to teach alchemy how to become alchemy. But nothing wrong, Jermaine just likes human like pets and then just gets killed off, so nothing much to say there. Galia also wasted potential as well because she just looked at the stars and all that, and then nothing else. She just had the plan. I mean, she does more than Jermaine and making the plan to start her final plan of having humanity regain their memories back. But other than that, nothing else happened from that. And she later dies, and also the first one to confirm that they were all human, that they gave all their humanity to become Dark King. But I digress. They're not interesting as Giga. Could give more time. Then we have the actual most disappointing character, in my opinion, which is Fuga. Fuga is the most disappointing character of them all. Like, seriously, Fuga, what are your deal? You show in the first episode, you die. Then you come back like around Iron Gotchard, like episode 23 or something like that, 24. And then you die again after transforming into wind for the first time. Then you disappear for episode after being revealed you're a clone. Then you come out like around episode 40. Then you transform once and then never again. Like you disappear again. Even though you find exposition and all that, he only appears in the film, the Geese and Gotchard crossover film, and showing that he's alive in the continuity wise. But then he disappears and then comes back and then disappears. And then in episode 40, he's a real person. Can't use alchemy anymore. But the same problem with Rene. More characters can't use alchemy for a briefly while and can't use it for convenience sake. Like, what the hell? Yeah, Fuga is the most frustrating characters for me. He feels like this is the most mid potential out of them all. And also the most annoying when you watch it week to week, when you get him back and like do something and then does nothing. I know when you watch the show, like we watch the entire show back to back, it's not as problematic as he's not really that needed, but when you're watching it week to week, yeah, I did feel that way. Another character that I think is really weird is Tachan. Like, he was about a minor character during the X-Rex episode with Sawa and her father. And then he later comes out as an X for the Zukumpire episode with that girl from that episode. I think her name was Yua. Yeah, she's just an X for Yua, and they just become the main type of villain in the last 4 episodes. And actually somehow breaks into the Alchemist base, which is pretty weird to think that he could just easily break into it with no problem whatsoever. Kind of wanted to have more development with that, how they broke in so easily. Also, the fact that he just rallied people up in order to make them hate the Alchemist and the Kamen Riders, but then all of a sudden it just flipped on a dime in the last episode because, we need pacing issues with this show that yeah, he wants to help people now. So it's really weird. It's a lot of mid potential with Tachan. Like, it's really surprising just a minor character can actually have more than that. Other than that, we go to the real minor character, which is the Kemi. The Kemis are fine. Only really important is Nichiko and Hopper. Finally, Hopper's Team Liner started out as friends with Hotaro, but then only Hopper get development, as Team Liner only get briefly with 10 Liner, but we don't have much of a personality. Only Hopper has the personality. And only Hopper's cuter. I like Hopper. He's cute. Or she's cute. I don't know. All the Kemi have their own personalities, but I actually do like that they build up that they have personality and wants and desires. It would help them more believable to believe that, yeah, they are alive and that they need to have a connection with humanity. Other than that, Nichikon's okay as well. I like Nichikon. He just ain't gone all the time. He's cute. He's beautiful. I like him. I love him. He's a cute little dragon boy. Alright, then we have the minor character with the Koichiro the wrestler. He's nice and wholesome. Doesn't really do much other than just coming back in episode 46 to tell him how to actually have Hoto interact with Spanner. Hijiri is the person that Kaji likes during the Kyoto episode. She's fine. He also showed the first thing that Kemi can actually manipulate and be into two people instead of one. And also be useful for Galia's plan. And also the first step to show that memories are important for the people with Kemi. Because if it wasn't for the Kemi, then Hijiri and Kaji wouldn't have met. And it also brings the memory back. But still pretty nice to see. Surprisingly, we got other characters like Riku and his dad from the Sabie Nido episode. Doesn't come back at all in the final. It would have been interesting to see how Sabie Nido helped both the dad and Riku connect with one another. And probably protect the people, but I digress. Because we have Sawa and her father Yuzuru coming back from the X-Reg episode to help the civilians for like episode 49. It would have been nice to see her with Riku who coming in to help them out, but you know, just a minor character for episode 49, nothing else. Especially the dad knew about Tachan. It would have been interesting to have a conversation with him and knowing who Tachan is as an editor. But nothing came of it for that episode. Other than that, we have Yua for the Juke Empire episode. She doesn't come back at all either. And also Tachan X. Could have used that more information for that, but it's just a standard villain, nothing else. We also have Starshine Hoshino, which is the most annoying character to me. I found him annoying in the episode. I'm glad he never came back. I'm actually glad he never did. He's not needed for the final arc because he never really interacted with any Kemi, other than having the Starshine power, but nothing else. He just thought he had spiritual power. Also pretty interesting that the girl band that played by the Kamen Rider girl doesn't make a mention about Nichikon helping them. Could have been used as a postcard or a news outlet, like something like that they are support of the Alchemist and Nichikon. Like, it's missed opportunity to have the Kamen Rider girl, like, character played by Kamen Rider girl not come in. Also, a VTuber started the whole Kemi thing before Tachan in the episode, so nothing came of that either. It could be interesting to have two different parties. I think that the writers just said, oh, Tachan because he's a physical person, and they can interact with the characters to make it more threatening for the plot. Interestingly, we also have Shiori, who was the traitor of the Alchemist Association, was mostly just a simp for the three sisters. But then nothing came of it because she died, and then there's no other traitors come in to sabotage the rest of the gang for the rest of the show. It also starts the beginning of the association being corrupt, or not really corrupt, more like cannot change their ways. We actually do fit with the theme of Hotaro wanting to change the rule and change the future for better. Because Shiori is a traitor, who wanted to learn Dark Alchemy, nothing came of it, missed opportunity. Kokimiya is actually not really important until the movie. He was actually just a DGP member from the previous season, Kamen Rider Geet, and became Amalgam, and the guy who had the X's for the film. But just to be captured, just mentioned once in the next arc and then nothing ever after that. It would be interesting that he breaks out of prison and actually he becomes a villain. Maybe we could have more characters like him to actually be part of the association, be evil. Because the reality is, the association is also a missed opportunity. They actually swipe everything under the rug. They swipe Grion's action under the rug and bring the gang back into the association, which is pretty funny to think. It would have been nice to see more about the association being like just too stubborn to change and actually being a plot point for that. But they don't really do anything with it other than wanting to destroy the Kemi after that and wanting Spanner to help them, and which they do help Spanner, but again, nothing happens of it. Missed opportunity to make them, well, not really missed opportunity, just glad that they're not evil, they're just stubborn in their old ways, don't want to change it, which is a nice change of pace compared to the previous like 3 times that they actually did become evil. So I do like that the change of pace is just stubborn to not change the way, which just fit with the theme of the whole change is good. Other than that, we have Seina, who is just in the Romeo and Juliet episode, which is an episode I don't want to rewatch ever again because they don't really do much and just reiterate bringing his personality and the character motivation again. And nothing come of it other than one time, episode 49, but nothing again. We also have Mami, was a researcher that Sabie and his brother Kaji grew up in. But nothing came of that either. Even though they're only useful for creating 1 or 2 Kemi in order to use Grion to just come in, steal the data in order to create his own Kemi, which is the little black jewel for the movie of Kamen Rider Dorado. And then later for Kamen Rider Eldo, where he uses create El Dragon in order to make the Kemi. And also the Dread Trooper, but that's about it. Even though he whispered something into Mami's ear in that episode, but nothing came of it, knowing what that was all about. There we go, that Keiichi, which I mentioned before. He's okay, being the character for that. I know what we mentioned about the pacing because I can see why people dropped the show because after the true super form, Kamen Rider Gotchard introduced, we spent 2 filler arcs and the legend episode, taking place of the show, like episode 28 and 35. Even though there are moments in that episode, like the fact that some character mode for Renge, Rine, you like or hate it, and even Nichigon being first mentioned and Giga being introduced, and Kloto's character being made for her rest of the season. Yeah, nothing major comes into it until everything picks back up in episode 36. So yeah, we had to spend 8 weeks, which is equivalent to over 2 months of real time when watching back to back. We had to wait 2 months just for the story to pick back up and any major development. So yeah, it's weird pacing, especially in the last episode where it feels pretty rushed, and I feel like the last episode could have used for 30 minutes. And it kind of weird that it was true that if the rumor was true, they were going to be an hour-long special. And make it 51 episode, make it more connected to Agito. But yeah, I mean, we're always going to use the Agito comparison because this season just feels like an early Heisei Phase 1 show. Like, not Fuga, just somewhere between Agito to Blade. Like, if you put it this season and try to put it between Agito and Blade, wouldn't that feel out of place? Especially with the same thematic themes of, change and friendship and all that stuff. It fits well with Agito, Ryuki, and Bai's storyline. So yeah, it is pretty weird. Also, another missed opportunity is that, it's the 5th Reiwa season. There should be something big about the 5th season. Like, we made 5 years into Reiwa. So the only thing about the major thing is just, having legends, that's it. Kind of missed opportunity. Music is fine. I like Rising Fighter. I just like they come back in the last episode. Pretty cool to see. And we play that. And I like Watch Your Fire. It's one of my favorite songs, being sung by Rider Chip, that they finally came back after a long time. And Kamen Rider Girl are coming back to make an original song, and then also make the Gotcha 101. And back on making the opening, and also Beverly making the final form theme, which is pretty cool to see alongside with back on. It's pretty. I like all the music. All the music is pretty good. I like the music a lot. Overall, with all my thoughts, what did I think about the show overall? The rating wise, you'd probably be shocked. I actually really still enjoyed the show, even with all the faults and flaws I found in the show. With the pacing issues and all that, I still really do love this show a lot. It's my second favorite Reiwa writer right now, behind Geeks. And rating wise, I will give it a 7 out of 10. Not compared to Geeks, who had like an 8 or 8.5 out of 10. I really do like Gotchard a lot. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, okay? I'm here to be honest. I like Gotchard, even with some of the problem with the pacing issues and all that, and some character motivation. I still enjoy my time watching the show from beginning to end. And it's probably feel like an early phase 1 because interestingly we have some writers like Akiko Inui, which is the daughter of Toshiki Inui when she first wrote the few episodes for Rine. It just helps to add my validity, feeling like it is an Akito-like season, like from Akito to 5. Like seriously, tell any fan that this show takes place after any Agito or Blade, and they actually probably would buy it, other than some modern updates with the Reiwa plot and all that. They still really buy it with some of the theme and topic and story pacing wise, and story action and beats would be more believable to see. Also, we finally found the Reiwa season that is more, I argue, this season is the best to introduce new people into the franchise. Because it has everything, it has likable characters, a villain that not really that, a dramatic villain and all that. Like, just a perfect introduction into Rider for new fans and audience to get into. Like, this season is just perfect for that. And of course, with the faults and all that, which is perfect as well for Rider, to know that why people also don't like a lot of seasons. But anyway, what do you guys think? Do you like this season or do you not? What do you think about how we comparing it to Agito, like just very Agito coded? And also, what do you think about my ranking and all that? And do you also believe that this is the perfect season to introduce new people into the Rider season? Or do you have another season for Reiwa, or just another season for Heisei or Showa and all that? Leave a comment down below and subscribe for more Kamen Rider content, and we move on to Gap. Peace.